So as well as having a dominance between right and left, you can also have a dominance between cerebral and limbic. As I said before, the thing to remember is that people do not belong in one quadrant. You are going to, and when you get a profile done, and I have a profile here that I can show you all later, when you get a profile done, it will give you a shape and you'll be a different degree between one quadrant and another, but we can all use all of it. It's just a different type of preference. Same as if you're left-handed or right-handed. So anytime we have any kind of paired structure, we're going to have one side more dominant than the other. For example, to test your eye dominance, if you do a little triangle, pick something on the other side of the room. And so I'm going to pick the eye on that poster over there, try and get the eye in the middle of my triangle, then I close one eye, and then alternate close the other one. And the eye, when the eye is in the middle, I shouldn't have said eye, that's going to make it confusing, but anyway, when the eye is in the middle of my triangle, that's my dominant eye. So when I actually close my left eye and use my right eye, the letter I is right in the middle of my triangle. When I close my right eye, it's gone over there somewhere. So that tells me my right eye is more dominant. And that happens in any paired structure in our bodies. Kidneys, everything.
What if it's not in the middle at all?
What if it's not in the middle at all? Then you go to an optometrist and see what's going on there. Yeah. Okay, so we have 4 quadrants. This is the whole brain model, which Ned developed. It's not what your brain actually looks like. Okay, this is just a metaphor of your brain. It looks a bit prettier than a normal brain, but anyway. So we have blue, yellow, green, red represents the 4 different quadrants. Our blue and yellow are our cerebral, high level thinking. However, our yellow is more creative and our blue is more logical. Our green and our red are our practical limbic thinking. The green is more practical and the red is more relationship based. We're actually going to go into each of these 4 quadrants and look at the characteristics before we start looking at David and Angela and where we think they might fit. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so let's look at blue. Our blue quadrant is left brain, cerebral. It's rational, it's logical, analytical. This is where you will find people that are very good in the scientific fields or the financial fields, accountants, people who work on the stock market. They tend to have a very strong blue brain dominance. The sorts of activities that you might do that would use that blue quadrant, so if you want to develop that blue quadrant a bit more, you would do activities like golf, billiards, woodworking, car repair, strategy games. Why do you think golf? What about golf makes it blue brain thinking?
It is fairly analytics based, like in my experience at least anyway. Yeah. There's a certain amount of it that comes down to being able to control your way of thinking. Yeah. And assessing a situation and reacting accordingly.
Yeah, it's quite strategic, isn't it?
It is very strategic.
You have the right club and
as soon as your emotion,
and your body has to be a certain way.
Again, for me, like I know that because I love golf, but I know that when I'm having an emotional time on the course, my golf suffers. So when I'm calm and relaxed and I can centre myself and my thoughts are clear, that's when I play my best golf.
Yes, and that's spot on because I'm probably less left brain dominant and I really suck at golf because I get very emotional and I can't do the angles. You know, you've got to get the right angles of your body and the clubs and using the right club. It's like, oh, this is stupid. I'm just going to use the same club for the whole game. And the ball is so small, you know, and I just end up getting really angry and frustrated, like this game sucks, and throw my club and walk off.
I've done that as well.
Have you? Yeah, that's when your right brain is kicked in.
I've broken a few clubs.
Oh, really?
It's very
good.
It's very
I'm really glad to hear that. It makes me feel better. Okay, so these people didn't actually do the HBDI, considering it was created in the 60s. However, from what we do know of them, they are likely to be strong blue thinkers. So Isaac Newton, Aristotle, Bach. Why do you think Bach?
Is music associated with mathematics and...
Yeah, it's interesting though, because music you would normally, like playing an instrument tends to be a red quadrant type of activity. However, the way that he approached music was in a very technical, sequential way. He liked looking at the patterns and the structure of music. Mm. So any activity we do, we can approach it from any type of thinking. But he approached it in that logical way. Okay, the Green Quadrant. So it's left hemisphere, it's limbic, so it's more sort of practical, everyday, common sense type of thinking. It's sequential again, so like the blue, it likes sequence. It's controlled, detailed, organised, conservative. What type of role, what type of job would suit a green dominant thinker, do you think?
Tax accountant.
Tax accountant, yes.
Event manager.
Event manager, why would you say that?
Because it has to lists and different stakeholders and planning and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And control as well.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I would put it as a red, but we're going to look at that because Angela's an event manager. So I don't want to give too many clues, so we'll hold on to that thought. The type of activities, cards, bowling, bodybuilding, tennis, jogging. Why bodybuilding?
You sure this is my marriage counselling today?
You know, a lot of people do. So instead, it doesn't matter what environment I'm in, everyone tends to think about parents, partners and children when we talk about HPI. Okay, bodybuilding. Why would that be a green type of activity?
You certainly need to have those organised, controlled senses of going about your day-to-day business with your bodybuilding because of diet and nutritional values and bean counting and so all those other little things. So
green thinkers are very good at routine. They thrive on routine.
Yeah, okay.
And bodybuilding is all about routine, isn't it? You've got certain things that you have to do each day, certain muscles that you have to work on, time periods. It's quite boring, because you're doing the same things over and over. To me, as a right brain thinker, I find it very boring. But to them, it's a step-by-step building, patient process, okay, which is where that green comes from. Okay, great brains in history. Caesar, Margaret Thatcher, Jimmy Carter. We're guessing that they're quite strong in the green. And that conservatism certainly comes through with some of those people. Okay, our right limbic. So it's still in our limbic brain, so that practical relationship communication type of brain, but it's on the right side. It's relational, it's emotional, it's musical, humanistic, expressive and sensory. It's funny because I did a HBDI workshop for an organisation a couple of years ago, and we were looking at the different quadrants and what they're good at. Where you would put people that were strong in a certain quadrant, what roles you would put them in. And when they had very good examples for all the quadrants, except when I came to red, there was silence. Now this organisation was quite a science-based organisation, and they were scratching their heads. Red thinking. And one guy piped up and he said, they make a great cup of coffee. It's like, okay. I didn't say anything, I left it. We had an activity at the end of the day where it was crucial that you had all four thinkers. And this team that this guy was in, they did the poorest. And when I asked him, well, where do you think you went wrong? He said, well, we had no red thinkers. So in the end, he got it. Because part of the task that they had to do was being able to translate ideas between people. Okay, so while people with the dominant blue brain thinkers are very logical and analytical, they can sometimes struggle to communicate their ideas to others, to communicate and promote those ideas. That's where your red thinkers come in. They can take your idea, they can promote it, get people excited about it. They can be expressive and emotional and communicate those ideas so that other people can understand them and come on board. And this is where we're starting to see, oh, hang on, the ideal business has a combination of all 4 quadrants.